This much better. Allison, we'll get you this, and I'll take it. I think it'd be good to discover that. Next item, adopt the agenda. Would entertain a motion?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Have a motion?
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. The minutes of May 2nd, 2016, regular meeting.
Regular council meeting Monday, May 2nd, 2016. Mayor, we recall a meeting to order promptly at 6 p.m. He requested Reverend Mike Taylor give the invocation. Councilmember John Fowles led in the recital of the pledge of allegiance. Mayor Weaver asked that the agenda be reviewed and approved by council. Councilmember Jim Looney made a motion to approve the agenda, and Councilmember Ann Snavy seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. City Clerk Lisa Wool read the minutes of the April 4th, 2016 regular meeting. Councilmember Jim Looney made a motion to adopt the minutes as read. Councilmember Allison Boyle seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Item A under old business, Mayor Weaver recognized Police Chief Greg Lovell to discuss the speeding issues on Ridgewood Road. Chief Lovell stated that since the state would not permit the road for speed detection device use, the only solution to stop speeding and make that road safe is to install speed breakers. Discussion followed. Councilmember Jim Looney made a motion to install no less than 3 and no more than 4 speed breakers on Ridgewood Road. Councilmember Ann Snavy seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Item A under new business, Mayor Weaver recognized Assistant Fire Chief Von Hedrick and Chris Pogé from G-Ben Turnip Seed Engineering to discuss the cost of the hazard mitigation grant generator. Mr. Hedrick stated that the cost of the generators had increased over the estimated cost, as well as the cost stated on the grant, due to the fact that the grant process began in 2014 and prices had increased in 2015 and 16. He also stated that the generator for the water pollution control plant had been upsized from a 175 kilowatt to a 230 kilowatt due to the fact that there have been upgrades at the plant resulting in the need for improved power at that location. The original amount of the project was estimated at $361,231, with the city being responsible for 15% of that cost. The low bid for this project is $403,629, an increase of $42,399 for the generators only. He explained that this cost does not include the cost of engineering assistant. He stated that once the bid is approved by Mayor and Council, he can resubmit the bid packet to FEMA for additional funding, providing there is money available. Discussion followed. Councilmember Jim Looney made a motion to allow for Assistant Fire Chief Hedrick to return to FEMA to request additional funds to pay for the generators and installation. Councilmember Ann Snavy seconded the motion. Motion passed unanimously. Item B under new business, Mayor Weaver recognized Mr. Pogé with G-Ben Turnip Seed Engineering to present to council the results of the April 12, 2016 bid opening for the generator project as is discussed under item A. Mr. Pogé stated that his firm had certified the bids and recommended the low bidder, Caldwell Electrical Contractors, Inc., at a total bid of $403,629. Tabulation of all bids is as follows. Caldwell Electrical Contractors, $403,629. Capital City Electrical Services, $485,723. DPS-IMS Inc. of Oxford, $487,200. Signal Point Systems, Kensaw, Georgia, $499,868. Lanier Contracting, Swanee, Georgia, $521,995. Mr. Pogé stated that his firm had checked references on the low bidder Caldwell and felt comfortable recommending this company for the generator project. Mayor Weaver read a resolution to award the contract to Caldwell Electrical Contracts at $403,629. Councilmember Allison Boyle made a motion to approve the resolution. Councilmember Ansonovi seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Item C under new business, Mayor Weaver recognized Finance Director Lisa Boyle to present the 2015 budget amendment to council for approval. Councilmember Ansonovi made a motion to approve the amendment. Councilmember Jim Lee seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Item D under new business, Mayor Weaver recognizes Ms. Boyle to present to council for approval the closing of the 2008 SPOS account at Community Bank of Pickens. Ms. Boyle stated that the monies had been spent from the account and there was no longer a need to keep this bank account open. Councilmember John Faust made a motion to close the 2008 SPOS bank account. Councilmember Ansonovi seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Item E under new business, Mayor Weaver recognized Ms. Boyle to present to council a resolution required to be approved for the lease purchase of the 2 new Ford Explorers for the police department. Ms. Boyle stated that the vehicle purchases had previously been approved by council and this resolution was required in order to finalize the lease document. Ms. Boyle stated that the lease amount would be $42,401 at an interest rate of 3.35%, payable monthly over a period of 3 years. Ms. Boyle read the resolution. Councilmember Tony Fountain made a motion to approve the resolution for the lease purchase of the 2 vehicles. Councilmember Allison Boyle seconded the motion. Motion passed unanimously. Item F under new business. Mayor Weaver recognized Lonnie Waters to present to council the results of the April 13, 2016 bid opening for the Hood Park Harbor Hills paving project. Mr. Waters stated that the bid tabulation is as follows. Bartow Paving Company, $255,346.32. Blount Construction Company, $242,675.65. C.W. Matthews Construction Company, $266,242.77. Johnson Paving LLC, $208,850.89. Northwest Georgia Paving Incorporated, $245,727.75. Mr. Waters stated that the low bid was $208,850.89 from Johnson Paving LLC, and that the city has used this contractor on previous paving projects. Mr. Waters stated that the city has been satisfied with Johnson Paving's work in the past. Councilmember John Faust made a motion to approve the low bidder, Johnson Paving, for the Hood Park Arbor Hills paving project. Councilmember Allison Boyle seconded the motion. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Item G under new business, Mayor Weaver stated that he wished to table the approval of the sidearm bush hog until the next meeting, no action taken. Item H under new business, Mayor Weaver recognized Sonny Underwood, Director of Planning and Zoning. Mr. Underwood presented to council a recommendation from the Planning Commission's April 27, 2016 public hearing. Mr. Underwood stated that the Planning Commission had recommended for approval from City Council a request from Donald and Linda Lingerfeld to annex parcel 041-017 of 9.56 acres owned by Mr. and Mrs. Lingerfeld, located at 91 Clarence Street, into the city as general commercial C2 zoning. Mr. Underwood stated that there had been no letters or other notice of opposition and that the rezoning request was advertised in the local paper. The county had been notified, a sign was placed on the parcel, and all neighbors within 200 feet or directly across the road of this parcel were sent a notice informing them of the request and of the April 27, 2016 Planning Commission public hearing. Mayor Weaver entertained a motion to annex parcel 041-017 into the city as C2 zoning. Councilmember Jim Lee made such motion. Discussion followed. Councilmember Tony Fountain seconded the motion. Motion carried by unanimous vote. Item I, under new business, Sonny Underwood presented an application for selling alcohol, beer, wine, and distilled spirits by the package from Mr. Patel, the purchaser of Trout's Package Stores. Mr. Underwood stated that the background check on Mr. Patel was not yet received from the state, but he is requesting that council approve permission to continue the application process pending that upon receipt of the background check, there is nothing that would prevent him from obtaining an alcohol license. Councilmember Jim Lee made a motion to approve the continuance of the license application pending the background check comes back satisfactory. Councilmember Allison Boyle seconded the motion. Motion carried by unanimous vote. Item J under new business, Mayor Weaver presented for council approval a resolution that would provide revision to the city's sick leave policy, which would rescind the portion of the policy allowing for a sick bank. Mayor Weaver stated that the city's sick leave policy without the sick bank was more than adequate, allowing for 8.5 hours leave accrual per month, accumulating up to 240 hours for each employee. Mayor Weaver read the resolution. Councilmember Jim Looney made a motion to approve the resolution, which removes the portion of the policy providing for a sick bank. Councilmember Allison Boyle seconded the motion. Motion carried unanimously. Economic Developer Gary Neckenball gave a report to council. Finance Director Lisa Boyle gave the financial report for the month of April 2016. Lonnie Waters gave the animal control report for the month of April 2016. Mr. Waters also gave a report on upcoming paving projects in the city. Chief Greg Lovell gave a report of police activities for the month of April 2016. Chief Steve Roper gave a report of fire activities for the month of April 2016. Councilmember John Faust gave an update on JYSA activities. Being no other business to come before council, Councilmember Jim Looney made a motion to adjourn the meeting. Council is scheduled to convene next at the regular council meeting to be held June 6, 2016.
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes as read.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as read.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you. Under old business, tractor and sidearm bush hog purchase. Put if possible on that. Mr. McKenna? Council last month had this on the agenda, but we were not prepared with the proper bids to bring before council. I recognize David to present his work.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council. Y'all have let y'all have numerous bids from different companies. They range from anywhere from $115,000 to $66,000. The first two bids are really high-end commercial mowers. This is like DOT type stuff. I think these may be a little too big for what we need in the city. But the rest of these are comparable to each other, just different makes. To other tractors. It's just whatever we really feel comfortable with, and I personally have not had a chance to go look at the tractors, but we have a lot of Kubota equipment, and we use a lot of bush hog equipment also, and I've had good service out of it.
What is your recommendation, David, from your looking at with the different bids, and basically you got apples and oranges? So what would be the recommendation per mine in your conversation earlier?
I would, going with what I know on it, Boyle is good equipment.
You got John Deere and you got
Yeah.
Ford, I believe.
Yeah, we got Ford, but I really think for the money, the LS tractor, it's a bigger tractor.
This be the Ford?
Yes, it's a bigger tractor. It has the most horsepower out of all the tractors we have that are listed. And
What about the bush hog itself?
well, we can source it through different vendors. All the vendors can come up with that, but I would go with a bush hog brand mower.
Okay. And what was the price of that particular one?
The tractor itself is $49,800. And I think and on the mower, it is $17,480.
Council, last year we contracted this around the city with a unit very similar to the one that David looking at, except I think this one's four-wheel drive. I believe his was as well. But we could do this on our own, and we could also mow other areas that we did not mow last year. And last year we spent over $12,000 for basically the project. But I would like to look at purchasing this tractor that, David's recommended. Who is the dealer for the tractor?
Goss is the dealer on this particular tractor.
Okay.
What was the second one?
It is a Kubota,
So the tractor's 49,800, how much was the axle more, the sign-on increase?
17,900.
We went to Alabama last year and looked at was that year before last year, I believe, looked at a DOT John Deere quality, and it priced out about $70,000, if I remember. So we decided to scale back and not go with one that large, because we're not going to have to cut that many miles of road. And we'll be doing a lot of bush hogging over guardrail and this type of thing instead of cutting the overhang back. But it will allow us to do both.
And this one has 16 foot of reach, so, in the center of the tractor.
And why are you wanting to go with the Ford versus the Kubota again?
I just think for the money, it's a bigger tractor, bigger horsepower.
Okay, what we'd like is, of course, we're in the middle of cutting season. I'd like to look at this, and if we go with something different than the Ford, we would come back to council, but would entertain a motion or ask for a motion that would allow us to purchase this, as this would be through the SPLOST, because it'd be for the maintenance of the roads. And, we haven't bought a bush hog in 20-something years,
93.
93.
Well, that was the last time we
Two Kubotas, and we should
bought a
have
tractor.
Right, two Kubotas then, one with an extended arm and just a regular bush hog. We've been maintaining the same streets, same bush hogs those years, and those things are showing their age. But they're still working.
Will they let us do a test drive?
Possibly.
I think that if we're gonna spend that kind of money, I think you need to drive it.
Okay.
So, what I'd like for you to do, I'd like to make a motion, let's table it, that you try the Kubota, you drive the Ford, and you come back and tell us which one you want.
Sounds fair. Got a motion to table until we do a trial of the different pieces of equipment.
Second.
A motion second, any discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. We'll be back again next month, though.
Thank you.
Good idea.
Quick, it's like a fine car, you can drive the best you can get.
Item B, under old business, alcohol license application. Mr. Underwood?
Mr. Mayor, council. We're here to consider a alcohol permit for Mr. Victor Patel, people that are buying trout beverage stores. We actually got the background check back after fingerprints. There are no disqualifying factors to keep Mr. Patel from acquiring an alcohol beverage license. And he has completed all the advertisement and the signage in the store telling the people what's going on. And we would ask that you act on this.
He has met all city ordinance as well as state law.
Yes.
Would you entertain a motion?
He doesn't have a state permit. He has to apply for a state license.
But he's prepared to move forward with the state.
Right.
Entertain a motion?
So,
Motion to approve the application?
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. Under new business, annual audit presentation for 2015, Mr. Clay Pilgrim with Russian Company.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council, for having us back to do your audit again for 2015. You should have before you there 2 documents. A bound presentation looks similar to this, and a full audit report. All right, we'll spend most of our time tonight in this presentation. I'll pull some numbers from the report. I'll be glad to go through anything in the report, but we can spend many minutes, many hours talking through the entire report here. So if there's any specific questions, feel free to stop me and we can discuss those. All right, so the first slide I want to talk about in the presentation is slide 2, where we have some details from our annual independent audit report. I am pleased to present that we have an unmodified opinion on financial statements. Nothing came to our attention during the audit process this year that would prohibit us from issuing an unmodified or clean opinion. That letter, of course, spells out Jasper's responsibilities, Russian Company's responsibilities, and then talks a little bit about auditing standards and how we came about that opinion. But I am pleased to present that we have an unmodified opinion. All right, on the next slide, make you aware in those statements, in this report, there are only 2 statements in the entire report that bring all activities of the government together. That would include both your governmental activities, which would be your general fund and SPLOST funds. It would also include your water and sewer enterprise fund. So these 2 statements are the only 2 statements in the entire report that bring all activities of the government. That's the statement of net position on pages 13 and 14, and the statement of activities on 15. 13 and 14 is going to be similar to a balance sheet for a business enterprise, and 15 would be something somewhat similar to an income statement. So I'm going to talk about a few numbers from those statements now. The next page there. You'll see listed on slide 4 there, you've got 3 years worth of data from 2013, 2014, and 2015 regarding the city's net position. You'll note there at the bottom category, or bottom year there, 2015, the city had $20,466,502 as a net investment in capital assets. That's going to be your equity you have there. That would include all capital assets of the government, less the accumulated depreciation on those assets, less any debt that's still outstanding used to acquire those assets. Restricted net position, restricted by external sources, that's $680,253. Unrestricted net position, $1,945,084, gets you to your total net position of $23,091,839. You'll note there for 2015, revenues exceeded expenditures by $4,129,578. Somewhat significant jump there, due mostly due to some capital contributions where you got some land that you all would have approved in a meeting there. Also had an increase in SPLOST revenue for fiscal year 15 over 14 of about a little less than $300,000. And the operating revenues of the water and sewer fund, which we'll talk about here in a moment, we're also up about $660,000 for 15. All right, next page has your general fund. For 2015, revenues of the general fund increased to $199,286, about 5%. That increase was made up of franchise taxes increased about $53,000. Business taxes went up about $75,000. Intergovernmental revenues, any grants you received, $31,000. And then fines and forfeitures were up about $32,000. On the expenditure side, expenditures increased to $127,116, or about 3.6%. Some of the causes for that increase, you'll note there, police and fire, police increased $94,000 due to some capital outlay purchases. Same with fire, those increased $76,000 due to some capital outlay purchases. Fleet maintenance and shop expenditures were down about $50,000 due to less on the personal services payroll side of things. For your fund balance, one of the things we always look at in the general fund is your unassigned fund balance. For 2015, unassigned fund balance in the general fund was $1,177,545, which is about 32.5% of your expenditures. If you take that 32.5%, that's about 3.9 months there. That basically, if no revenues were to come into the city, you could basically operate on your budget, if all else was equal, at about 3.9 months. As compared with, for 2014, you'll note there was about 2.8 months, so an increase there for 15. Slide 6 is the same numbers we just went through. So we've got a 3-year comparison here of your revenues and your expenditures of the general fund. And a graphical depiction here. you'll see there for 2015, your revenues were $3,948,984, and expenditures were $3,625,344. Slide 7 is that fund balance we were just referring to, a 3-year depiction there, it's a graphical depiction. You've got for fiscal year 15, total fund balance $1,230,017, and of that total fund balance, $1,177,545 was unassigned, which is the number we were just referring to, basically available for spending at the board's discretion. Okay, slide 8. The water and sewerage fund. In looking at the operating revenues of the water and sewerage fund, you'll note there, as I mentioned earlier, they increased a little over $660,000, about 18.6%. Water sales made up 61,277 of that increase, about 2.4%. Sewage sales increased 9,241, or about a 1.5% increase. Meters and installations increased about 33,000. And then the largest reason for your increase was your leachate dump fees, which increased about 359,000. Under operating expenses, those increased 283,021, or 8.5%. Some of the reasons for those increases: the wastewater treatment plant expenses were up about 74,000. Water supply expenses are up about 65,000. Water distribution expenses were up about 46,000. And then depreciation expense on your assets. As you add assets, of course, your depreciation is going to increase 57,644. Slide 9, graphical depiction, last 3 years. You've got your operating revenues, your operating expenses. Of course, the net effect of those is your operating income or loss. In this case, we had an income all 3 years. For 2015, revenues $4,223,276 versus expenses of $3,599,694. Get you down to your operating income of $623,582 for fiscal year 15. Okay, slide 10. Slide 10 talks about our report on internal control compliance and other matters. As you're aware, we're required by government auditing standards to assess internal controls. I'm pleased to present this year that we have no findings in regards as far as any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies or material non-compliance with controls. That we had a couple last year we brought to your attention when we presented. Pleased to present that staff have implemented procedures to eliminate those deficiencies. Okay. These next few slides are some required communications that I am required as auditor to communicate to the entity or the group charged with governance, and you all as council serve as that entity. First, I want to let you know our responsibilities. As I mentioned earlier when we were talking about engagement letter, our responsibilities are to perform the audit. Of course, that's on a test basis. We're not looking at every transaction you have. We're looking at a sample basis. We believe our audit did accomplish these objectives. Next slide has some accounting policies. It's important to note that the city's accounting policies are in note 2 to the financial statements. I will call your attention to one policy that did change during 2015. It was somewhat substantial. I actually discussed this with you all last year, that this was coming down the pipe for consideration or for required implementation, and that was GASB 68, which is accounting and financial reporting for pensions, required to be implemented during 2015. We've got a slide on that here in just a moment to discuss that. Accounting estimates, as you're aware, these financial statements do have some estimates in there. We're required to let you know what we think are the most sensitive estimates affecting the financial statements, and that's the life expectancy of capital assets, depreciation, and the allowance for doubtful accounts for uncollectible property tax and utility billing. Okay, during the audit, we do from time to time have audit adjustments that we come across when we're working through the numbers. We have provided those adjustments to management. Those have been approved. We also sometimes will have what we call trivial or immaterial amounts we come across that we will not adjust. We'll choose to pass on. We've also provided those to management, and they agree that those are immaterial to the financial statements. We did not have any disagreements with management. We did not have any difficulties in performing the audit. We have requested from management a management representation letter. That letter basically says that management has provided us as the auditors with all information. They have not provided us with incorrect information or knowingly provided us with any incorrect information or withheld something from us that may change our opinion on the financial statements. We're not aware that they had any discussions with any other independent accountants. And lastly, we do not have any other audit findings or issues to report. And with that, I'll say things went real smooth during the audit. Lisa and the entire city staff, mayor, everyone was very helpful during our field work. And from that point up forward through the issues of the report, had no difficulties at all, and pleasure to work with. Do a great job. And as I mentioned earlier with that report, Lisa actually prepared that report, which we don't see that a lot with a lot of our clients, so that's very impressive. Testament just how good she is. All right, slide 16, what I mentioned a minute ago, GASB 68. We discussed this last year. Of course, they were still fine-tuning how this was going to be recorded. But I am here to present that GASB 68 was implemented by the city during 2015, which required the city to record the net pension liability on the defined benefit pension plan that the city has for employees. That effect for 2015 was to basically, it was required to be restated for beginning. You had to go back retroactively and present that. So there were some prior period adjustments in this report. Those prior period adjustments in the report are not due to mistakes, as they would sometimes be. They are due to a required, this GASB required those. So it required a decrease in net position of 135,093 to book that net pension liability and the related deferred inflows and outflows of resources. That was something that's somewhat substantial. And that's it for my report. As I mentioned, I'll close by saying thank you to the city staff and to you all for having us.
May I ask you, since you're on that, how can we correct that? What would be your recommendation?
On the pension liability?
Yes, sir.
I will say that is although that looks somewhat daunting and large for the city, $135,000 is by no means and I would actually have to look at what the exact total is, but that's what we restated it by. That liability, I can look real quick. What I will say though is that is not that you want to be compared to other cities or counties. That is not a large liability than what we're seeing put on many of the cities and counties books. In other words, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I think you should fully fund that and completely eliminate that, or that you have to do that. That would be the way to eliminate it, is to, of course, fully fund the pension.
Isn't state law going toward fully funding?
They may move towards that, but there's some that will be impossible. It would not even be close to impossible. If you look at this for a large county city, you're talking about huge consequences. And I will say as well with that a lot of the concern when this statement first started, first came out with the statement they were going to require this was, well, what's this going to do to our bond rating? We're going to be putting this big liability on our books. But the problem is everybody's putting the liability on the books. So that doesn't really affect, the bond rating agency can't just come and say, well, you got this liability in your books now, because when you compare apples to apples, everybody's got the liability on the books. So this is not as big of a concern as many of them. Not that it's not something to take serious, because it is. But your total net pension liability at the end of 2015 was $235,622. Your total net pension liability was. So, very good question. I wouldn't recommend just going out and funding the entire thing. You're somewhat close in comparison to others.
Any questions, council? We're going to have a motion to approve the annual financial report. For lack of a better term.
Motion to approve the 2015 financial report.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, and we thank you for finishing it this month so that we don't end up on the drawing board with DCA.
Yes, sir, and I will say, this of course, one good thing about presenting this in early June, as we do try to each year, is that allows us to come before council before actually sending this report into the state. So that is one good reason for having this thing finished up in May, June, so that, because this is due, of course, the state by June 30, we will make that submission. That's an online submission, we'll make that submission for the council.
All right. Thank you so much, Clay, and actually, you're actually the next item, item B.
Okay.
Audit proposal for 2016-18.
Yes, sir.
Council, Mr. Pilgrim has a proposal for you.
Yes, sir. When we first entered into the contract, 3 years ago, of course, we submitted a bid, and that bid had an escalation in there for 3 years. My proposal to council would be to keep the same fee we've had for this third year for the next 3 years, rather than an escalation. Going forward.
Freeze it at the present rate, which was how much?
17,290.
Okay. Council, Lisa, I'll recognize you, make a recommendation to council working with Rushton Company, and what's your feelings? Put him on hot seat since he asked.
That's right.
We've been really pleased with the efficiency. They come in and get everything done about, I guess two different weeks. You kind of do some preliminary and then come finish up. The efficiency and the quality of work. I used to audit, so I would recognize bad ones. And they look at our stuff really well, and we've been really pleased with them. And getting things done on time. We're not like we're never done, didn't get finished.
Okay, council, and also if we don't accept Mr. Pilgrim's offer this evening, Lisa, tell us what we'll have to do.
Well, we'll have to send out a request for proposal to, and advertise for bids.
And what does that do to our time frame between now and what we're running into next that we need our auditors? Will be next year?
Yeah.
Okay. So we actually have the time.
Yeah.
But his offer may be higher when he makes his next bid. So, I would take a motion that we, ask for a motion that we would accept.
I will say, sorry about that.
Since you're selling, you can go ahead.
I will say that even though we put a price here, we said we'd hold that price constant for 3 years, we will have to come before you with an annual engagement letter. They'll come to demand. Of course, if y'all approve that, then they'll probably sign the engagement letter and move forward, but there will be an annual engagement letter. Just due to the fact, as you know, we're not allowed to have multi-year contracts, and so there will be an annual engagement letter that will come for you.
But you're not going to offer this at the same price as this year?
I'm
each
telling you
year.
that for, yeah, for 3 years.
So we're actually doing it for one with a possibly three. Okay, that sounds better. So we'll entertain a motion to, Lisa, if you can document that, as it would be with the engagement letter each year. And that if we weren't happy at that time, we could just end the relationship next year if we wanted to.
Yeah, we're always will, but that's always the case.
Maybe it won't be the case.
Yeah.
But we
I
have
respect
paid
that.
much more than what we're paying now, hopefully because of our efficiency of our office, and it doesn't take you the time that it would if we didn't have the staff that were able to prepare for you.
Yes, sir. And where the price and where the issue really comes in with bids as well, any firm will tell you this, the first year you're gonna lose mightily because you've got so much time, your staff's gonna have so much time as well during a first year of a changing auditor. I think I told you that when I came before you the first time, it's a lot of work, you gotta tie down the beginning numbers and the ending numbers, a lot goes in the first year, so that's where the pricing break comes. At this point, we're familiar with how you do things, we audited last year, so things are easier.
And there's no requirement that we let this for bid.
No, there's never a requirement. Matter of fact, this is a little different than what I typically do, which is okay, it's not a problem. This is a little different what I typically do in that usually if there's a bid, a lot of times we won't necessarily need to stand for 3 years, just an annual thing going forward there. Where we send an engagement letter, we may discuss fees each year, that sort of thing, but typically it's just an annual review. There's not a 3-year
So the
process.
city stayed with one auditor 25 years before we decided to change a few years back. So with that, we'll entertain a motion with the recommendation of our clerk/finance director. And my recommendation that we have been very pleased with Rushton Company because we have at this particular time been sitting here waiting for audits and have been written up by DCA because we can't get audit reports out, not knocking any past working relationships. But with that and the amount of money that he's referring to versus what we have paid in the past, we're still less than what we paid in the past.
Okay.
We left money on the
Take
table.
money on the table.
Would entertain a motion to that.
I like a motion that we approve the audit proposal from Western Company. Yes. I'm sorry.
And possibly, potentially 3 years with next year's same proposal, I think we could do. We put you on the spot each year unless you want to bid it for 3-year period.
No,
I think that'll make Mr. Looney, who's not here tonight, happier that we can bring you back for us next year. Have a motion?
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion?
So how was the motion work?
We're rehiring Rushton Company for the same price we had you this year or next year.
But just for 1 year.
For 1 year with the option for 2 more. At the same price. Any other discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you. Good job, very
Thank you
good.
all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Lacey, y'all did a great job. Thank you.
Item D, report from Planning Commission, Sonny Underwood, Planning and Zoning Director. Did I skip? I marked that, I apologize, we got alcohol first. Alcohol license application request for continuance.
Mayor,
Can I call your name?
I have a application for an alcohol license to sell beer and wine at 61 North Main. It's from Mr. Carlo Del Pizzo. He lives in Cherokee County. We do not have his fingerprints back yet. He has been fingerprinted. We thought we would have those tonight, but we did not have, we don't have them. But I would ask that the council permit me to continue with the license process,
Should we encompass advertising?
advertising, and, if, you know, if the fingerprints don't come back, or if they come back bad, then you can, deny.
Entertain a motion to continue the process.
So moved.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second, any discussion? Now, this is, he says 61 Main, this is the old Crow's Nest
Right,
/
this
Lola
is-
/ Three
This
Sisters.
is real 61 Main Street.
That's the address.
Yes.
So anyway, with that, any further discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. Did we double whammy that? Okay, next item D, report of planning commission. Mr. Underwood.
Okay. Really say they're not-
Kenny, would you like to come up and wait? I'm going to ask you to hear and say Kenny, do you have anything to say before we proceed?
Yes, after the planning board meeting where we got denied 3-0, I think it's in our best interest that we withdraw the application, and rezoning the property.
Thank you for coming this evening, appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonny.
Thank you.
Item E, application for reduced water rates and sewer rates. Lisa?
I have 2 applications. Y'all want to pass around and look over, they qualify for the reduced rates.
Would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve the reduced water and sewer rates. Motion is second, any discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. Item F. Call for an election. This evening, Allison Boyle tendered her resignation. And Lisa, I recognize you just for a second, put you on the hot spot. You spoke with Julie.
Yeah, I just got an email today from her, it's not gonna, the election's not gonna cost the city anything except for the advertising, because with her having county election too, she needs two things from us. We need to set the qualifying fee,
Well,
which is.
that'll be the next item. I need to call for an election first. Okay.
So we need to have an election.
Okay, we need to have an election. We got a vacancy and we cannot just appoint someone because there's too much time.
Right.
So we entertain a motion to call for an election, officially call for an election. And that will be in November, first Tuesday in November. Okay, first Tuesday in November, I believe the correct date. I've got a motion, Tony made a motion, need a second. Motion and a second, I've got Ann.
How much time is left on the
A year and a half. And got a motion, second, any other discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands to officially call for an election. And next item, item G, special election qualifying fee. Lisa, you were nearly there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we've got to set, officially set the qualifying fees, so I can send that to Julie at the.
Okay, and the last, and what it's been for years is $35.
We've always used 35, which is the most we can charge.
$35 fee, would entertain a motion to approve $35?
So moved.
And a motion to approve $35? Need a second? Second. Motion is second, any discussion? Being none, all in favor, vote by show of hands. Thank you, council. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry, I need to go into a closed session, discuss real estate and meet with our attorney. There will be no action. I just need to inform the council of a little activity. Mr. Waters, I'd like to ask you to stay, please. And Sonny, you can stay if you want to. Thank you. 15 minutes at the most that you leave before. Love you. Thank you so much.
Wow.
We got a motion to go into closed session with John Fountain. Got a motion second by Tony Fountain. Any discussion? Being all in favor, show of hands. Thank you. We're in closed session. Thank you so much.
Executive session.
Any second? Second. Any discussion? Being all in favor, show of hands. Thank you. And apologize for y'all's inconvenience. Mayor's report, economic development, I think Jerry's out this evening.
He's not here.
Pardon?
He's not here.
Finance report, Lisa, like we didn't do enough this evening.
Talk more numbers.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk current year numbers. In your packet, you have the financial report for May. I was just gonna mention a few things for sales tax. We collected $85,257 compared to $83,098 for the month of May this year versus last year. Year to date, we're a little under, we're $428,000 versus $430,000.
You said that was splost, did I understand?
This is sales tax.
Sales tax, the local.
General fund, yeah. And on your report, it looks like we're over budget on our debt service, but the reason for that, we just made our fire truck payment, the annual payment, and it kicked it up a little bit there. And the percentages, water, sewer, all the other expenses, we're right at a below budget. A little bit under budget with the water sales, and summer surcharge hadn't really kicked in yet, and we usually go up a little bit, so I think we're right at budget.
Okay, did you miss some splost though? Did I miss that when you said
I'll
that?
talk about
Okay, would you for the council, please?
Yeah, at this time, we're showing in our cash account, we've got $766,492. What we have committed at this time, if you take off our paving, the bid that we have let right now, what we've committed to pay Kimley Horn, and for this equipment,
Well, don't
That
think
we
the
are-
equipment yet.
I
I'm
added
trying to see if I can afford it. Okay, go ahead.
I assumed it was gonna be on here, so I put it in there. But we got about, let's see, close to 500,000, taking those out,
Okay.
not counting the equipment. And, we've been average collecting about, over time, it's been about 69,000 a month, it's been coming in.
Okay, that's 20% versus 25.6% of the local option sales tax, so it's a little
Yeah.
different, 5%.
Yeah, we collected 66,000 actually for May. But that's kind of where we're sitting now. I don't know what this next paving project that y'all are
Okay,
talking
we're
about.
gonna talk about that in just a minute. I'll let you throw some words in on that. You might say no. Okay, any other questions for Lisa, council?
Let's see how we doing on HA.
It's a little below what budget. I don't know that, I was gonna go back and look at the summer months. It comes in better. I
I'm
don't
sure,
know.
they've been dropping a lot off lately,
Yeah.
so.
But from what we budgeted, we're a little bit below.
And you said it's 500.
I can tell you exactly, I brought my, we've collected so far this year 258,400. If we were at budget, it would be around 312,500. We're,
$50,000,
yeah,
$50,000,
a
a
little,
little less than 50,000.
yeah.
You said they were around 500,000 left in this loss.
Yeah, with what we've got, with what we've committed to pay.
And that tractor, you took that out of the
I
way.
took the tractor out.
So we've got, should still have 500,000, and we'll talk about what we're about to pay with the 500,000, plus probably 2 to 3 more months of collection.
Yeah,
Anything else for Lisa, council?
No, wait a minute, you said that the 500 is taking the tractor out?
it's not taken.
Not taken, okay. I thought, yeah.
I thought you said, what about the payment?
I'm sorry, I got mixed up on what we were saying.
Shucks.
It was 440
Well,
before,
okay,
with the tractor out, and that's, I put it back in, so we
Okay.
got 500,000. Sorry, I
With that
misunderstood you
500,000
there.
without the tractor.
Just want to make sure I understood.
thank you. Anything else? Lonnie? Animal control and all other duties assigned?
Mayor and council. As you can see, a very slow month. Our biggest complaint was the ducks being injured at the duck pond. Well, actually, the terrapins are biting their legs and, you know, they're getting away and injuring their legs, so that's about it.
So we got a turtle problem. Terrapin problem.
Terrapin problem, yes. Other than that, it's been a quiet month.
Okay, let's talk about paving. Wow.
Okay, this week's paper will have the new bid that we're letting out for the Cove Road, Ridgewood, Sharp Top Ridge, Fox Run, all that quadrant down there. And, we're looking at, it will probably end up being close to the price between $200,000 and $300,000 in that. I don't remember exactly the, distance that's, included, but it's not gonna be much different than these other bids that we've had.
Okay, Lisa, and we're gonna be able to bring in the 55,000 from the DOT, which was not added in a while ago.
It is added in, because that's where we deposited it.
You deposited it in the SPOS?
That's what the auditors told me to do.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you're not having to maneuver. you know.
Okay, we're gonna have to have a special account for it.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But also, by the time we get this bid out, take in the bids and everything, we should have like 2 to 3 months worth of splash money coming in too, to be added to
Before
this.
it's due, it might be even 4 months.
Yes.
How many streets did they
Excuse me?
How many streets did they end up in?
Okay, it's, St. Cove, Sharp Pops, Ridgewood, Magnolia Station 5.
Approximately how long will that take to pay?
I'm not sure.
Probably about a week.
Yeah, it's probably, I mean, cold will be the main thing, is going up those curves and everything, at the top, right there above the pump. And then, the county is, actually, while they're there, they want them to extend it on up to the first driveway to the right, which the county will pay that bill. But,
Well, we're gonna be
they don't wanna end it right there at the curve.
We're gonna be moving the city limits line from the bridge up to the curb, because the city owns land on both sides of the road, and we've not done that yet. Didn't really want to, but we're going to. And, we're going to need to, once we take ownership of city property, all that guardrail or whatever the county has going down the hill, we're gonna try to shave off that mountain and get rid of that. And then we're going to go up and do a little bit of work on, at Still Hollow. We've got a crevice crack in the bank that's just kind of hanging. And, we're gonna try to take care of that as well this summer. Might be this fall, or maybe next year before we get to the Cove Road project, but that needs to be addressed more than it's been done once we move the city limits line. Might get the county help us, we got a track hole that we have available now that we can actually reach in and take off a lot of the side rock, etc. Go ahead, Lonnie, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I already have.
Any more questions about the payment?
Did you do the speed breakers?
The city installed those, yes.
Okay, I went up there today. Are we gonna add the other two or the other one?
Well, we're looking at what we got. I told you when we last, we're gonna put this up, see how it works out, because the idea was to stop the traffic at the curb, the speed at the curb.
I know this afternoon when I come through there, I was behind a pretty little white Lexus. And it did real good till it got to past that second one. And son, they put it to the doggone metal as soon as it got past that second one. You might want to go ahead and look at the second, or the third, or the fourth. I promise you, it was gone. I was amazed.
We don't want to totally discourage traffic on that
Well,
road.
we don't, but we don't want to talk on over another kids either. That's something else fly. There ain't no sense in that.
Well, like, you're gonna have speeders, from time to time. You can't control all the drivers, but that speed breaker will definitely stop.
Oh,
you.
well, the other two definitely slowed down, but I'm serious, as soon as it went over that second one, it was gone.
The next one go out in front of Tony's house.
I was wondering why they wasn't higher.
I thought, we're looking at what it's doing and what kind of feedback we're gonna get from the community. We bolted them in instead of spiking them in. And
The
once
traffic, I actually talked to John today, or Jim today, the traffic slowed down, but I think the traffic is slowed down because of it.
And we've also put no truck signs, that we improved the no truck sign
But
in both directions.
I'm like, that we probably gonna have something we'll have to look at before long, because like they figure out if they're no more coming in on the long straight away.
Well, it's funny, this wasn't no kid, this was a grown-up adult, I'm telling you.
When I bust.
It's crazy.
I actually, on my way to council meeting, there was a bus man turned in from Burnt Mountain.
He wasn't actually using the road, was
He
he?
turned in from Burnt Mountain, and it did take him just a minute to get to that first speed breaker. But anyway,
We do have patrol in the neighborhood, but if y'all wanna light that thing up with any more, just give me the go-ahead. I don't like the ones that are there, and I wanna say I don't like them to begin with.
I don't either.
I'm gonna blame Tony Pound and Jim Looney and John Fowles for them, and Ann Snavy if you want them before. But they are awful, awful things to have in the middle of the road,
But they are gonna save somebody's life down there.
I've never had a fatality. But that being said, anything else? That's enough of the record on the speed breaker.
The asphalt out at, on Jeanette Drive that's damaged and coming loose, I met with the paving company, they're willing to come in and mill that down and mill it down quite a bit deeper and put a larger, thicker coating on it. and we're negotiating with them how we're gonna do that and everything, due to the truck traffic in there.
And we're turning the trucks at, Don Westbrook Drive. No trucks allowed past there, to put them back out on the main road, because those side streets are just not paved well enough to handle the concrete trucks on a day-to-day basis. They're gonna alligator all the way through. They'll ultimately alligator the main roads, but those roads are much thicker, and many years of asphalt on those, and we're gonna get the trucks to go through town instead of Pioneer on the way to Bentry. We don't want them to drive Ridgewood. These roads, after we're spending as much money as we are on the paving, we don't want to bust it up with the truck traffic. Now, if they're having to pour concrete in that area, that's fine, but as through traffic, they're gonna have to go around, and I spoke with a concrete company, and they're willing to do that.
And that might be something we might want to look at when you do get ready to pay Ridgewood out on this end at the railroad tracks, as far as that one section there where it's alligated up now.
We build it down.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be, just regular asphalt won't handle that. I've seen good asphalt there, and those big trucks take it right off. It may be that we can talk to the contractor, if we can, it may be asphalt, concrete that might be required. But that, I've seen that in good shape one summer, next summer it's gone. Anything else
The,
going on with
down at the Cove Creek, the Limestone Valley has approved their plans, and, Corps of Engineers has approved, and the application for the EPD to get into the variance has been sent in, and we're just waiting on them to approve, and then we can start maintaining our water intake.
And a little bit about the sewer line that we're gonna run for Highlands.
Highland Rivers, Health Center down on Rolling Road has contacted me. Their sewer system has gone completely out. They're having to pump it anywhere from 1 to 4 times a month, and it's costing them $400 every time they do. They have asked, is there any way to get on sewer? So we have talked to the landowners. 90% sure we're gonna get an easement across their property. They've already given us a written permission to go down and check out the property, take in equipment and clear it out to make sure that the gravity of the sewer will reach our pumping station. And, so we're looking at that, working up a cost estimate for this, and Holland Rivers can't wait to, pound our sewer if we can make this happen.
Okay, council, we have looked at this, we've got it measured, we've already laid it out, grubbed it, measured it, come up with the price of the material, and we're going to present a price to Highland Rivers and the property owner, whatever. Onyx. And it won't cost the city anything. Matter of fact, we're gonna make probably a little bit of money off it, hopefully, because we'll be using our equipment, our manpower. Should take 2.5 weeks maybe at most to get this put in. We'll be using 4 to 5 guys, and all this will be paid for, or otherwise they can contract it out. But I think our price will be better than what they can contract it out. But I'll give you a heads up on this. It won't cost anything. Let us know it may be profitable. But we're going to be spending most of our time down Cold Creek trying to clean out the creek if we're approved ever by the Corps and the EPD and Limestone Valley and everyone else that got a permit. And just today, tell a little bit what happened this morning when I told the lady that we didn't really want the money.
Okay, FEMA and GEM, I've been working with them, and I'm still working with them on the sedimentation, trying to get some money from them to help pay for the cost. There's brush and debris and stuff up the stream. So this lady, Denise Kirk, she has worked very hard with me to try to get us money to clean up the debris. Well, after the mayor went down there this morning, we looked at it. There's no way to get to the debris without sending men in the stream and cutting up the debris and carrying it out, because we don't have a variance to get into the buffer. And we don't have the crane or something to reach across the buffer to pick this stuff up and set it out. So after doing that, I got Miss Kirk on the phone, and the mayor has told her that just to, do away with that part of the FEMA contract. I have received an email from her since, and says that they're still working on the paperwork to cover some of the cost of the sedimentation, but they have already deleted the paperwork for the debris.
And the reason I canceled that project was they were wanting us to go into the live stream with our manpower, and it's dangerous just getting in the stream with chainsaws, and we were going to have to hook to the timbers and pull them out of the, help me out, the setback,
The buffer.
and all I could see was fatality of our manpower. It was gonna be so dangerous that I told Ms. Denise this morning that thanks, but no thanks, we couldn't do that. And we're gonna leave the debris. The debris that's actually there helps catch a large part of our fall leaf foliage that comes down. And I was looking at it without more improvement of our berms, that we'd probably be doing more damage to our intake area if we took it out. So anyway, that happened this morning, and I feel pretty good about it. Well, I apologize to Lonnie, because I didn't work on it for about 3, 4, 5 weeks, whatever it was, and we ended it awfully quick. We went down and started working on it this morning and decided not to. But anyway, anything else, Lonnie?
No, that's all.
Thank you, appreciate the report. Police report, Chief Lovell. All-time long sheet.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. City of Jasper Police Department for the month of May responded to 953 calls from the 911 center. Responded to 52 motor vehicle accidents, issued a total of 170 citations for the following: 1 DUI, 146 for speeding, 1 shoplifting, 1 uninsured motorist, 19 miscellaneous violations, 2 suspended or revoked. Georgia State Patrol issued a total of 50 citations in the city for a grand total in city court 220 citations. Issued a total of 8 parking citations, 3 for 2-hour parking, 5 for wrong direction. Total of 8 warrants were issued for the following: false statement felony, criminal trespass misdemeanor, possession of a tool to commit a crime felony, possession of firearm, commission of felony, obstruction misdemeanor, obstruction felony, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, 1 step I take it felony, miscellaneous calls answered for 37 alarm calls, 10 30 disorderly, 6 harassment calls, 8 loitering and trespassing, 68 suspicious activity, and responded 16 domestics, investigated 2 murders. The guys are, yes, sir. I like them a lot.
Thank you, Chief. Randy Banks instead of Steve Roseman, instead of.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'd like to apologize, Steve Rover would like to send his apologies, come down with the bug today and had to go off. City of Jasper Fire Department responded to 123 calls for the month of May. The following: structure fires, we had none. Vehicle fires, also we had none. Grass and brush fires outside the city, we had 2. Auto accidents, we had 15 inside the city limits, 0 out. Emergency medical calls, we had 48 in, 33 outside. Other calls was 15 inside city limits and 10 outside city limits, a total of 123. Inspection of our program, reviewed 1 set of plans for construction and conducted 14 annual inspections. Of course, their standard training program for the volunteers, plus paid guys daily on shift, and that was the activity for the month of May.
Thank you, Randy. Questions, council?
Thank you.
John, anything about JYSA?
Ordered our cheerleading uniforms and our cloth a couple weeks ago, so we've not football just around the corner. Camp will be in July, so everybody needs to go to the website and go ahead and get signed up and get all the information in, so.
And our golf tournament has been moved to August the 14th? 24th,
Somewhere.
2014, instead of in July. We've taken a vacancy, and that'll get us a little closer to football season, and looking forward to it. No, not much, but July 20th, so I'll be hot. We entertain, no other bids to come for this council, we entertain a motion.